Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the REC podcast, brought to you by REC Comics and Collectibles. I am your host, Roman Chavez, and with me, as always,
Erik Icarus.
Woo! Guys, girls, we have a show for you today. We've been talking about it for 2 months. We have a special guest today with us, our friend, and, well, just friend of the show in general,
Dave Williams.
And, yeah, man, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
We've been talking about doing a roundtable of types for Game of Thrones. Guys, I know we've talked a lot about Game of Thrones, but, guys, it's just hard to get through, okay? This is just speech therapy for all of us. We want to rid ourselves of this bad taste. It's like I ate a whole thing of garlic that was in a sweaty gym sock, and I just can't get that flavor out of my mouth. This will be the last Game of Thrones podcast we do.
Thank you.
For this show. We might do stuff with the prequels. We'll see what happens. You know how we feel, Erik and I. You know what we thought of Season 8. We were not a fan. Dave is not in contact with us as much through the season. Dave, what did you think of Season 8, the finale of Game of Thrones?
I mean, the nicest thing you could say about it is it was disappointing.
Yeah.
Right. This is about the nicest thing I could say. I really enjoyed what they did with the previous season and the setup going into this last season, but I was like everyone else. I think, or at least the majority of people who have watched it and have been with it over this last decade, and it was just disappointing, just terrible on so many levels. For me, what I really enjoyed the Night King, right? I really enjoyed that army of the undead, and I was blown away. That's probably one of the things I liked the most about the last season is the Night King on that dragon, just blowing the ice wall down, right? And he's like, okay, I'm going all the way to King's Landing.
Yeah,
right? That's what I thought was going to happen. Spoiler alert. It was.
I'll put it in the show doc, guys.
Right. I thought the Ice King was going to make his way to King's Landing. I didn't think that he'd be killed, in this, the third episode at Winterfell. That was very, anticlimactic for me. So it's just one of the critiques I have.
Yeah.
But in short, disappointing, and those guys just made a huge mistake and had a big missed opportunity with so many different aspects of the show.
We definitely couldn't agree more with that aspect. What was your most... And the reason we're talking about with somebody else, guys, is, Erik and I, we see each other every week. We do the show. We've been bashing it the whole time. And there were definitely some people out there who enjoyed it. We have yet to find one. So it's nice to get yet another perspective, even if it is on our side. Dave, what was something that you absolutely just hated about the season?
Well, I would have to... Well, obviously the last episode, I think, where you have certain endings, right? You have Jon Snow going back, or at least being
taking the black,
going back.
I never heard it that way before. Continue.
Right. So he's going back up Castle Black, right? He's banished again. I thought it totally upended the whole relevancy of him being a Targaryen, right?
Yeah,
what's the point?
Yeah.
Other than to create conflict with Daenerys.
Yeah.
And then you have Sansa. I've never liked her at all. She made me upset from the very first episode. And I've there's been certain episodes, right, where you kind of feel bad for her, especially when she's having to deal with
Ramsay.
Yeah,
she got Ramsay.
Yeah, right. Ramsay, baby. Right. But a part of me didn't care that much because
you had it coming.
Right.
I can't stand.
So,
Sansa.
but now she's queen of the North, right? And okay, great. And then Bran becoming
the king,
king,
which made no sense.
It doesn't make... The guy did nothing the whole I mean, really, he
never alluded to it. Not even slyly, like, that means something.
I remember him saying, hey, don't call me a lord, because I'm not Bran anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not like a Stark. I'm the three-eyed raven. And then okay, hey, I'm gonna show up to King's Landing after everything's all said and done, because I, for some reason, have the foresight of being elected by the lords to be king, and I'll accept it. I mean,
This has all been about like getting people out of the way so Bran can become king,
maybe he's the most evil character.
That's what I'm saying.
In the show.
If they had alluded to that, I would be okay.
Comedian
That's
Bobby
cool.
Lee said for him it would have been the best ending would have been as they're wheeling away Bran, he has like Night King eyes.
Sure.
That would have been
okay.
That would have been pretty cool.
Like, okay.
All right, fair enough. Is one of these spin-offs going to be more Game of Thrones?
Well, there's so many things that, I mean, they didn't even do their ending correctly, right?
Yeah.
So like Grey Worm, right? Okay, he's gonna go ahead and just let Jon Snow
Kill his
live.
queen? Yeah. He
So
would've killed him.
So yeah, just think about this. Like Jon Snow kills Daenerys. She's taken away by the dragon, right?
Mm-hmm.
No one knows what happens to her for all intents and purposes,
Yeah.
right? So he has to basically
Tell them.
like,
I
hey,
killed her,
by
man.
the way, I killed her,
Mhm.
right? And then they arrest him? Like, they just don't, like, straight up kill him or something? And then, here's this thing, right? He is the rightful heir.
Yeah.
So how did he tell these people, right? I mean, I'm very interested in how that
conversation
went down.
went.
Like, hey, I'm the rightful heir, so I
Yeah.
killed her. Or, oh, hey, I killed her because I think she's going to go kill and murder other people because she has this weird, worldview about she's the only one who can save humanity.
Yeah.
Through murder.
Through murder, right? I mean, I want to know what happened. Like, it just, he killed her.
Yeah.
And then the dragon obviously melts the Iron Throne, takes her way out east, and then it cuts to black, and then we're at the
5 weeks later or
Right.
whatever.
Right, yeah, I just, there's a lot of, they didn't even do that correctly.
I did like Sansa's, where she's like, you'll find thousands of Northmen who will disagree with you hurting Jon Snow or something like
Sure.
that. I thought that was
Sure.
pretty baller.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, right, but we could have we could have seen that play out.
Agreed.
Right? So let's assume for a second that they don't kill, the Unsullied don't kill Jon Snow. There's obviously going to be some sort of political back and forth, right?
I just don't see there's a world where Grey Worm doesn't just
I don't
murder
see
him
right
away.
just right then and there,
Yeah.
right? Because that's like okay, so his love gets killed, and that almost sets him off the edge, and it basically, and in a way it does, right? Because he has his bloodlust, and he's killing everyone in that city along with Daenerys.
Yeah.
But I got to imagine that if Daenerys is killed, he's going even more off the edge than there already has been. So it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
And then you have this council that's convened of everyone that's left, who are the most powerful lords in all of the land, and Tyrion comes up with this new system of how they're going to govern, and everyone just kind of accepts it. Like after hearing it, like,
dude, this guy's in chains.
right? You don't. If you're one of the lords, you're like, well, okay, why don't you give me like a week to think about this, right? Like, we're just gonna elect someone.
Sleep on this.
Yeah, right. Like, there's so many things. Again, there's so many things that happen in that ending that just didn't make sense to me. I mean, I didn't have a problem with Jon killing Daenerys, so I was okay with that.
Yeah.
Just how it was executed and everything that came along with it.
Yeah.
Surrounding it, and then of course Sansa, right? So they're electing a king. So Sansa, right, as they're electing the king, she chimes in and says, "Well, we don't want to be a part of the Seven Kingdoms anymore," and
Everybody's just okay with that.
yeah, everyone's okay with it. Like, if you're another lord, aren't you going to be like, well, wait a minute, whoa, I didn't know that was an option. I'll give up my vote if I can be independent.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it just doesn't make sense, right?
It doesn't.
And on a lot of different levels, it feels like I'm kind of downloading all my frustrations with you right now.
Yes, I think you need to. Just let it out. Just let it out.
And I really like Bronn. I think he was. I was a little disappointed with him because I thought I thought he was gonna
be a good dude,
have some sort of loyalty to Jaime and Tyrion. But it turns out, nah, man, he's definitely just interested in himself. And
Master Coin.
I will say that he probably made out like a band. Like he was the one character that kind of like did everything, I guess, right. If you're looking at it from a self-interested point of view, like that guy is set.
Made money, didn't lose any limbs.
He's all about himself.
Wasn't
right?
sexually assaulted.
I really would have liked. Like I envisioned him doing something different. Like I really envisioned him, not being willing to kill, the two guys that he
been hooking them up the whole time.
Yeah, I mean they've been. I thought they were friends, and it turns out, well, not so much, right? I don't know. And of course the Night King being. I didn't mind. I didn't mind how he went out. It's just I felt that he went out a little too soon. I really wanted to see the undead mess up King's Landing.
Yeah.
I wanted Cersei to kind of be punished for betraying, the agreement that they made last season, and that she herself and the Golden Company would have to deal with the undead somehow. But that I never got that. And of course, I think we can all agree how Cersei went out. I'll say this: I thought Jaime deserved better. Yeah. And Cersei deserved worse.
Agreed.
And I think I'm not the only one. I think a lot of us going into the season thought Jaime would probably be the one to kill Cersei.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Deliberately, right? Yeah. Very much like Jon did with Daenerys. Mm-hmm. It was a willing thing.
Yeah.
And it may have been hard, but I thought he was going to do that. I thought after last season, when Cersei was going to betray all those everyone going north to fight the undead, I thought that's when Jaime finally said, "Okay, this is too much."
Yeah, he had grown so much in that last episode of season 7.
Right, and his whole redemption and his whole character development kind of gets thrown out the window because he's like, "Well, I am who I am, and I love Cersei, and I'm gonna go back." Even though she's
the worst
person. I mean, how much does she really love Jaime, right? She's freaking, what's that guy? I can't remember.
Euron?
Yeah,
she was putting it to Euron. Yeah, and remember, she was sleeping with her cousin, Lannister, when Jaime was captured.
Yeah, and let's not forget, she tried to have Bronn murder Jaime.
Yeah, like 2 days before.
I think everyone, at least I think everyone agrees with that sentiment that Jaime deserved better. If he was going to die, it's certainly a better death. Mm-hmm. But Cersei should have been tortured in some way. Yeah. Like it was one of the best things about her character and the history of her character is when she put the High Sparrow into power.
Oh yeah.
And she got. I mean, that blew up in her face.
Yeah.
And that was one of the most satisfying things that I saw and that I enjoyed about the show was that, okay, all your games, this is coming home to roost now. Yeah. Like, you're going to have to deal with this maniac that you put into power, and now he's, like, messing you up. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was great. But
I did like her revenge on the High Sparrow because I hated the High Sparrow too.
Sure, I didn't like the High Sparrow, but I thought it was great that she created this monster and now it turned on her, and she because she's terrible, man. Yeah. Like she's one of those villains you love to hate.
Yeah,
and that was. I wanted to see something like that for her demise, right? Like she would get messed up somehow. Because God knows she's done a lot of awful things to people who've gotten her way. I mean, remember that nun that she did not kill right away and had the mountain zombie mountain mess her up. Yeah, that's the kind of death that Cersei probably deserves, and I believe the fans probably wanted her to.
Yeah, she didn't deserve to go gently under rubble.
And by the way, I just want to point something out on that one. Tyrion goes and he actually sees the bodies. And I don't know about you, but that whole place wasn't filled with rubble because Tyrion was able to walk around. Had they simply, held each other under that archway,
under the protection,
they probably would have lived, right? So there's so many frustrating things about this season. I will say I did. I think this is probably more of a 50-50 split, but I did enjoy the Hound and the Mountain fighting each other.
Agreed.
I think that was we all wanted to see that. Of course, it could have been executed better, but simply seeing it because of the anticipation of it was really good, and it probably makes sense that they both die.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, I wanted the Hound to live, but he's such a tortured soul that it was probably best that the one thing he could do is take out his zombie brother.
Yeah, he needed. That was the only rest he needed. Was I killed my brother too? Again, yeah, true. This has kind of been some Game of Thrones therapy for Dave and us. It's nice to hear, somebody I don't interact with every day. It wasn't just us, Eric. We were not the minority we thought we were.
Right. I felt like that gradually went down. Because remember the first couple episodes, you're like, no, it's pretty good. And then when you hit that long night, that's when it started to drop off drastically.
Yeah, the long dawn or whatever it was. I wanted to kind of think about and try to end Game of Thrones on a high note for ourselves with a little bit of reminiscing. And, I'll just kind of start and just some things that I enjoyed about the show. I'm not a fantasy guy, per se, and this tiptoed that line really well to where a lot of the times it didn't feel like a fantasy show to me. Like, I like Lord of the Rings, but, like, if I never watched Lord of the Rings again, I would be no worse for it. They created really captivating characters, and I really enjoyed like Jon Snow's journey up until the last season. I enjoyed Dany's journey up until the last season. I liked Khal Drogo. For me, the Battle of the Bastards was the gold standard of battle for this show, and they were never able to recreate it. And I mean, that was just such a great moment. Just the scope of it, the suffocating moments of it, and like the satisfaction at the end.
Yeah.
When Daenerys goes into the fire with the eggs and then comes out with baby dragons. I mean, what a cool scene. Because I almost didn't think they were going to do that. I almost didn't think that there were going to be dragons in the show.
Right.
You were hoping, but it almost didn't happen for me. What about you, Eric?
Speaking of battle, I think the Battle of Blackwater is just amazing. It's shot really so well, and it showed Tyrion is more than just a sarcastic drunk. Yeah. He's got a tactical mind, and he saved that city. And then we get to see another side of the Hound too. Yeah. Like he charges in, like a total badass, and then you see he's got a human side. He's scared. Yeah. And he's just done with it, and he runs away. And that was, for me, I think that and Battle of the Bastards are like just tied as far as the battles go. Just amazing stuff.
So good. I love Sir Davos. So like
Davos.
Having Davos.
You know who my favorite character was, and he's in it for 2 seconds. And I'm having a hard time remembering his name. He was the water dancer teacher.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was. I just love Arya's like telling him to run. He said, the first sword of Bravos does not. Yeah. Run. How cool is that?
What do we tell death? Not today.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that guy a lot. Dave, what's if somebody was like, I want to watch Game of Thrones, you would tell them this is the moment that you should look out for?
Oh man, there's so many. I really enjoyed the Night King and the Undead, and I don't want to belabor that, but I think that was really cool stuff, right? Especially because they introduced it so well. I don't think they overplayed it.
No.
At all.
Not
I
at
think,
all.
You start seeing these, you don't know what they are to begin with, but you see them, you start to learn more and more about them. There's this sort of fear that's going on in the show, and you can, they're still kind of off in the distance, right? Yeah. As they're first introduced, and you're still dealing sort of with who's going to, jockey for position to actually take the Iron Throne, but there's this threat. Yeah. Which is why I really enjoyed, that last season where they all came together and they're like, this Iron Throne thing doesn't make sense, right? When we have the undead marching south, and that's the kind of stuff I really enjoy. But if I had to put that aside, I really enjoyed Papa Lannister, right?
Yeah,
he was Tywin, right?
Yeah.
Tywin was one of my favorite characters in the show because he was just so good. That he was effectively king.
Yeah.
He was able to rule and be the right hand to Joffrey.
When he sends Joffrey to bed, that's like
right, right. Because he tells Joffrey, like, if you have to say that you're king, I mean, come on,
come on, dude,
right?
Great that's another satisfying moment is his death.
Joffrey?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we were all wanting that.
In talking about, Cersei deserved, I think everybody was... I don't think there was a single person upset with how Joffrey got.
Right, for sure.
I stood up and I applauded. I was like, yes!
Oh, yeah.
It's about time.
Yeah.
That was a great moment. I think, if we want to harken back to season 1, obviously, I think you have to talk about Sean Bean. I think he represents someone who is noble and good, and if you don't understand and naive, if you don't understand sort of the dynamics that are playing out, then you're going to get killed. And that's exactly what happened to his character. And I think one of the best scenes that describes that is that he's going there to basically say Joffrey can't be king because I have a letter written right, that was sealed by Baratheon, right, that I'm to be in charge until Joffrey comes of age. And of course Cersei's like, this is what you would hide behind, and she rips it up. And then
it's like, but I had a letter.
Yeah, I had a letter. Like,
come on.
Sean Bean, Ned Stark thought that would work.
Yeah.
He really thought that, oh man, I have this is legitimate, and he doesn't understand that that's not how taking power works.
And what was cool to that point is, with Ned Stark's character, you talk about him being naive and noble. It's like naivety and nobility go hand in hand in this series.
Yeah.
And Jon Snow starts out like that, and you slowly see he's like, okay, I got to be less gullible.
But
up until the last season.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I love his character development until the last season. Because, he was kind of learning from his, well, quote-unquote, dad's mistake.
As his dad, It seems like Ned treated him well.
Sure.
The only person who didn't treat him well was Catelyn and Sansa. But everybody else seemed to really, really like him. Even Theon was kind of a jerk to him. But Robb and Arya and Bran and...
Rickon.
Yeah, Rickon. Crap Stark.
Yeah.
They all seem to like Jon, and Jon was genuinely a good dude.
Yeah,
man. Sean Bean really. It was hard for me to stick around after he was gone. I wasn't sure how that was supposed to work, and even after they behead Sean Bean, I was like, why? But then all these other characters, I realized, had gotten better too.
Sure.
And
brilliant.
Even you said you really liked the guy who played Robert Baratheon.
I wanted
a little bit more.
Yeah, I wanted him. I wanted a little bit more of him.
Yeah, I kind of want to see in a prequel. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, Robert's Rebellion.
Yeah, Robert's Rebellion.
Yeah, totally. I mean, okay. You said, what were you telling me? What was the one prequel we're getting so far?
It's supposed to take place 1,000 years before Game of Thrones, and I believe it's about the Targaryens' rise to power. My understanding is like they're like the Wiener family of old Valyria, but then like they start being able to use dragons, and then they rise to power. So that's my understanding. Could be wrong.
That sounds.
A friend of mine is reading the book, and he says it's excellent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it is George R. R. Martin written, I believe. So. And it's done. It's like one book. It's not in a series of books. It's just one book. So, Dave, what are some other things that you liked about the show? Good.
Yeah, it's. There's so many good parts of it. I did enjoy seeing Daenerys go through her journey.
Yeah, her journey was excellent.
And I thought it was, this kind of speaks to the problems of the last season. Is all kind of it's wasted.
Yeah,
everything.
Right.
It does not matter that she crossed the ocean.
And I'll put this out there, right? So you contrast her character with Sean Bean, right? Sean Bean, being naive. She was also naive.
Yeah.
Right, and her brother, that jerk, right? Because he wanted to obviously be on the throne. He used her to try and gain power, and that obviously didn't work out.
Yeah.
But she
that was another satisfying death, right?
Yeah, I didn't mind that whatsoever. Because that guy, come on,
he was a jerk.
Yeah, you don't do that to your sister,
right?
But she was also naive, but she was able to learn, you know, and get past sort of that innocence that she had, and she was able to draw upon those experiences and get better, you know, as her story arc progressed.
And then just go crazy.
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden
just go insane.
You know, and I keep hearing apologists, you know, on social media say, well, you know, her best friend got beheaded, and, you know, they killed two, you know,
all her allies basically.
Well.
So you're saying she wasn't all this stuff? I mean, what they're saying is like, so everything that she had gone through up to that point, she can't handle this now.
Yeah,
it's basically negating all of the hardship she had gone through.
I mean,
like she's not tough enough, you know?
And you just kind of don't buy what they're trying to sell in the last season, right? Because this whole time she's the breaker of chains, right? Yeah. She's trying to liberate people and make life better, right? You know, you can understand why she killed off the slave, you know, owners. You can understand why she killed off, you know, everyone that she had to deal with.
It's war at that point.
Right. I mean, she's there. They set it up so that, you know, there are clear good guys and bad guys. And I think they tried to go in a different direction this last season where, well, in this world, there is no such thing as good guys and bad guys. There's just a lot of gray. And
I'm cool with that.
I am, but
it's the way they execute it,
right.
like you said,
this whole time, right, we're being led to believe that, you know, Khaleesi, right, Daenerys, she's this wonderful individual who is, you know, on the right path, right? She does want to take back the throne, but she wants to be a benevolent leader. Right?
Yeah.
And now we're left to believe, okay, wait, she was just crazy.
Yeah.
Right? She thinks that she's the only one that can liberate everyone by controlling all.
Yeah.
Right? And I just thought it was a weird pivot. And maybe it was too fast, perhaps.
Oh, big time.
Because the romantic in me really loved the idea of these two good people on the opposite ends of the world coming together to do some good.
And they even talked about it. And they even kind of talked about it this season, right? Well, what if they ruled together?
Yeah.
Right? Okay, I was like, all right, I'm
good with
this.
Let's go.
You know, okay, they're related, whatever. Targaryens is what they do, but okay.
They don't say it be like it is, but it do. All right.
It's just, God, what can you say, man? Her whole story was great, and then Tyrion's story was great too. And you know, the interesting thing about Tyrion is that he's a clever dude, and he's smart, and he matured and whatnot. But these couple last seasons, he's been making bad decisions.
Yeah, dumb. I was saying that like the whole time. He's like dumb now.
And you don't. And he's one of those characters where you don't think that, right? You're like, okay, Tyrion's smart. Yeah. He knows what to do. But then you keep seeing sort of the fallout from his decisions that he's been making. Yeah. And on the surface, they kind of make sense, right? Well, we're going to go after Casterly Rock, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that kind of makes sense, right? We should do that. But then Jaime outmaneuvers him, who is supposedly the stupidest minister. Right, well, what do we care about that place? We're going to go after Highgarden, right? Yeah. And take the gold. His story arc was fantastic. I loved it when, you know, he would constantly belittle Joffrey early on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that was satisfying for me because I hate Joffrey. I think everyone hates Joffrey. And I'll say it if I ever meet the actor who's Joffrey, I will tell him that I hate him, and I don't think I could ever like him. Yeah. That's how much I hate him.
That's how good he was.
That's how good he was. It's a credit to how good he was at being a villain.
In that, man, just think about it. In that one scene with Joffrey, Tywin, like, you know, all the advisors, like, there's so many great lines. There's the, you know, a king, if anybody who has to say I'm king, is the line in there. And then when Joffrey calls Tyrion a monster.
Yeah, he's like,
you know,
I
am monsters, and monsters are scary, and right now kings are dropping like flies. You know? And then it's just like, it's so quiet in there. It's such a great, like, man, that might be one of the greatest single scenes in the entire show because and that's also when Tywin sends Joffrey to bed. Yep. Like, all of that happens in that same scene. Wow. The writing on that 6-7 minute scene was better than the entire writing on season 8. Oh, yeah. I mean, let's be real.
I mean, my favorite, probably one of my favorite moments with Tyrion was when he's like, I'm not going to get justice here, and I demand trial by combat when he's, you know, being tried for Joffrey's, you know, murder. And, you know, I think everyone who's sitting in judgment of Tyrion knows he probably didn't do it, but they were still going to find him guilty.
Have to side with it, because
right.
they'll be ostracized for siding with Tyrion. So.
And I thought it was great to. So one of the smart decisions he made was to say, "I want trial by combat."
I mean, it shows that kangaroo courts don't work either.
Right. Well, it totally upends the plan. Right?
Yeah.
Like they would totally upends what's going on. Of course, Cersei thinks, okay, well, this could work out too because I have the mountain and so on and so forth. But that was I thought it was great. So the trial. And then, of course, the fallout was great. I was a little bit bummed that the mountain, like I was really hoping the mountain would die.
Yeah.
But it would have taken away the
only good part of season 8.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
But still, in that moment, I was so depressed. Yeah. I was like, oh yes, Tyrion's gonna live. He's gonna be found innocent.
Oh, that
sand he grabs his freaking head, explodes it, and of course he says it right.
Yeah.
I raped her. Murdered her. Right, like he did it right. And then they both fall. And I was kind of wondering at the moment, well, what happened? It seems like this is a tie.
Sure.
Yeah, like Tyrion, she should be good, right?
Well, he was the last one breathing. I think that's how they do it.
Okay, there you go.
Fair enough. I'm not going to let one bad season mar the entire thing because that journey, even through season 7, is just so good.
It's amazing.
I'd rather watch seasons 1 through 7 again and then just kind of
pretend it just ended.
Yeah, just say, all right, the whites came, everybody lost.
I'll make it up.
That's just better. Guys, thank you so much for joining us today on kind of I'm not even going to call this just a roundtable. It's Game of Thrones therapy.
Yeah.
Dave needed it. Other people might need it too. If you want to, go ahead and leave us some comments on our Instagram page at REC Comics, and you can definitely tell us what you thought about it in the comments below on YouTube. If you like what we're doing, please hit that subscribe button. Give us a like. And, message us, DM us if you want us to talk about something specific. For the show, I have been your host, Roman Chavez.
Erik Icarus.
And Dave, thank you so much for joining us today.